means that there is family dysfunction and sexual dysfunction in the environment of that child. Now, this impacts all families and places children at risk of many problems, including now them becoming sex addicts in the future. So researchers are telling us that even when a child is not fully aware of what the parents' abnormal sexual behaviors are, they may eventually replicate it themselves once they become adults. So what we are looking at today is that sex addiction in a family does not automatically mean that all the children will grow up to be addicts, but it does increase the possibility of the child experiencing abuse or trauma in a different number of ways. And we can look at it now. Which ways are these that I'm talking about? We know very well children require nurturing, validation, love, support. Anything else less than that qualifies as some kind of abuse. So I have a few examples here, maybe that will make us realize what I'm talking about, things we have always taken for granted. Now, what counts as abuse? One, when you force a young child, or a child for that matter, to kiss or hug other people. In the newer generation, it is normal for us to hug our peers or our friends. But now we are pulling in our children that we start forcing them to also hug these people because they are our friends, kiss them. This is really abuse as far as the child is concerned. When we start criticizing our child's sexual development, children are not stagnant, they are growing. In our country, when children go to boarding school and they come back home, we tend to be really telling them, oh, you are growing fat, umenona sana, your breasts are coming out, you are behind. With a boy, you start enjoying him about his voice, about his height. And for some girls, even they start bending down to hide the breasts because they are realizing now people are commenting more about them. When you start attacking a child's thinking process, instead of guiding this child, then this child will hibernate within themselves, and later on they might manifest other things that we are not aware of. When we start making that child, any joke you have, you refer to the child. Any joke you have within your peers or your friends or within other family members, this really affects children in a very bad way. When most of us are screaming because of anger, because of what we are going through, and we are trying to convince a child something and we are not able to talk to them at their level, where we actually advise we should go to the child's level, even if it means sitting down or kneeling down to their level so that you're able to talk to them. We find ourselves shouting a lot. Probably maybe it's because we were also shouted at and we don't know any other way of doing that. This we consider it to be child abuse. And we're looking at when we impose unfair punishments. When we talk of unfair punishments, punishments should be there when a child is misbehaving or doing something wrong. But when they are so unfair, especially to this child that is seeing that I didn't do that, yet I'm being punished, I was not in that group, yet yes, I'm being punished, we find that this child will grow up feeling the world is really unfair, and they won't be able to deal with all those things that the child could be going through. So when we are looking at all these, even slapping or hitting the child, not allowing a child privacy. When we say not allowing child privacy, this is what I mean. When you have a child who is growing up, probably 5 now, 4-year-old children, we are learning by now, they know how to go to the toilet. When you don't teach them that that is privacy, then this child might grow up thinking that I can be naked anywhere, I can be seen by anybody when I'm doing whatever I'm doing. So we are really advocating for whereby you teach a child to close the door when they go to the toilet. You teach a child to to close the door when they're taking a shower, so that they don't really have to show their nakedness. And degrading or insulting a child, of course, that will hurt the child in many different ways. And when we start forcing our children to keep secrets, this is where now the issues of sex thrive, the issues of abuse, whether they are being shown pornography, because they'll be told, if you say this, I'll kill your mom. If you say this, I'll kill your dad. So once we start forcing the children to keep secrets, they'll be done so many things, and they'll always keep the secret because they don't know how to do it any other way, any wise or any different. Now, there are some people, unfortunately, who are demanding perfection from a child. Even ourselves, we are not yet perfect. When we start demanding that, it becomes very heavy and very difficult for this child. Some parents are blaming their child for family problems. As I'm working with young people, I'm learning that some of them were telling me, my mother tells me I'm the one who took away her girlness. She was a very nice girl, but when she gave birth to me, the girlness went. I'm the one. So we start blaming our children for problems we have within our family. So this child starts blaming themselves. When we fail to provide supervision and security to our children, out there now, people are totally different. And when I talk about supervision, is whereby you allow your child to go out and come back whatever time. This is a 5, 6, 7, even 10-year-old child. And then they come back. Anything will happen to them out there because there's no supervision, there's no security as far as the child is concerned. And working in my Limuru office, I've come into contact with the children from Naivasha who have been sexually molested. And they always say it happened so fast. I was just outside, somebody came, did it, and went away, and they can't even remember how the person looked like. So we need to be constantly supervising our children. Then we should not punish our child when they become when they start asking questions about sexuality. They become curious. Reason is they are growing up. They want to understand a lot of things. And I'm talking even younger children. For those of you with 4-year-old, 3-year-olds, they're very curious. And I can give a small example where my granddaughter went to school at the age of 4, and she noticed the boys would pass urine when they were standing, yet she could not do that. She came home at 4 and told me, I think, Grandma, I think I need a pipe. And I was very concerned. What's the pipe about? So she told me I saw boys urinating with a pipe because that's what she thought it was at that point in time. So I didn't make fun of it. I just explained to her that's how boys look like because she only knows herself. She has never seen anybody else apart from herself. So sometimes we need to just explain to them instead of punishing them for their normal sexual curiosity. The worst thing that is happening is that adults who grew up with a sex addict, the person was a sex addict, the parent, the significant other. What happened to this child is that they were given very harmful information about sex instead of the appropriate, accurate, or useful information that would have helped them at that point in time. They also started experiencing a lot of shame and confusion about their body, their gender, and their sexuality. Therefore, we are seeing children who don't know whether I'm gay, I'm straight, I don't know, transgender. There are so many things that are coming up. So you realize this child got seriously confused and they didn't know which way to go. We are also finding that the sex in these families, it was viewed always in extremes. For example, they viewed it as it's either very, very important, sex was everything, or it was very bad and very dirty, disgusting, or very naughty. So this person doesn't grow knowing exactly what sex is. So they also started learning about disrespectful behaviors or remarks about gender and sexuality, which are very common with sex addicts or people addicted to porn. They know how to use vulgar language. Pornography teaches you that women are just, what would I want, which name would I want to share? They're just like objects. So this is what they are hearing. And these children grew up without the nourishing touch. That good touch that you give a child, maybe a normal hug, maybe a pat at the back, just something to show them that you are connected with them. These children missed that. Now, the other thing that was interesting is when they became adults, they started experiencing confusion, discomfort, terror in the face of sexuality. So if they were put somewhere where they had to express their sexuality, they didn't know what to do. They'd had serious difficulties in establishing intimate relationship. So they started to experience fear or shame when somebody acted in a very healthy way towards sex. Because of what they had gone through, they got misidentified the role of sex in a relationship. Therefore, they started using sex to avoid abandonment. So they will hang on somebody just because of sex. They will try to control others because of sex, because they wanted to feel that emptiness. And of course, they got confused with what is really sex and what is emotional intimacy. So all these things came about. So when we looked at issues of sex, we have a lot of elusive messages. Some of the most common one when somebody was growing was when this child is growing with a parent who is a sex addict, they are not as obvious as what we know of physical abuse or sexual abuse or emotional abuse. For the pornography, it's quite different because the dynamics are within that family of the sex addict. This is what they might include an atmosphere of secrecy and duplicity about sex. So these families have rigid moralistic attitudes about sex alongside hidden parental behaviors that normally contradict the attitudes that are being fronted within the family. It also conveys the message that sexuality is shameful and should be kept somewhere hidden so that somebody does not know what is going on about. They also became very precise in what they were telling this person, that the child, they are involved, in comments about the young person's body or their sexual development of their attractiveness. They became very precise and pointing out things because that's what they would see in the pornography. Therefore, they would have very inappropriate sexual humor. So the child would start seeing themselves in terms of uh, sexual terms instead of seeing themselves as somebody who is developing and who is growing. That is what happened. They also lacked absence of normal model and intimate relating. So what happened is the parents are always in conflict, so they are not able to show conflict towards one another. They are also very disengaged, and they are distracted by the many marital conflicts that come about when one of them is addicted to pornography or even to sex. So therefore, they started also witnessing inappropriate behavior in the part of the addict. So the child may come across pornography because it is at home, it's lying around at a very early age. So they might also witness the addict engaging in some of the sexual behaviors. Maybe they notice the father who is watching the pornography masturbating. They might see this. And sometimes this can be very, very traumatizing for the child. Also, if they saw people having sex in the real life who had been watching pornography, this confuses the child to a point that the child can actually experience a traumatic event through there. So when I'm talking about sex addiction, we are saying it refers to a range of sexual behaviors that are done in excess and significantly impacts one life in a very negative way. So when we talk of now sex addiction, most people confuse porn addiction and sex addiction, and they are not the same disorders. These are two different disorders, and we are saying addiction to porn is just one type of sex addiction, and it manifests itself very different than other types of sex addictions. So I just want to look at the types of sex addictions that are there. Probably the most obvious one is now pornography, prostitution, there's masturbation and fantasy, sadistic and masochistic. This is where people who thrive from seeing others suffer or inflicting pain on people when they're having sex. We have the people who like showing themselves off. They just flip themselves. You see they are naked and then they cover themselves. We also have the peeping toms who like just seeing people naked and they get excitement from that. And other excesses of sexual uh, pursuits, like people who are having sex with animals. We are having people who are having sex with dead people. We have people who are now pedophiles where they defile children, and that's the only time they really enjoy the sex. There are others who prefer having same sex and other excess sexual pursuits over there. So I want to stick to pornography today, and I want to talk about pornography as what it is. So we are saying it comes from the Greek word porno and graphia, meaning depictions of activities of sex. So in common, it just means material that is sexually explicit and intended primarily for the purpose of sexual arousal. In our community, we hear a lot of people saying, I watch pornography so that I can entice my sex life, so that my partner can be happy. Reality is, it is intended for the purposes of sexual arousal, not for learning anything. We have a lot of sources from pornography, from the movies, from books, from magazines. Of course, the internet has just taken it at a different level. so much that you can access pornography anywhere, anytime, so long as you have a phone that can be able to do that. We also have other formats, like where you are seeing cards, just normal cards that you play with, having that. You can see some pens where you pull them up, and inside there's a lot of pornography. So we're having other formats where you can access pornography from. So, what do I call an addiction? We explain pornography addiction as an obsessive and compulsive behavior towards sexually explicit material. Such one that feels like they have to view porn all the time, whenever, wherever. So this person has a mental preoccupation with the content and feels gravitated towards such materials constantly. So we can define pornography addiction as a psychological addiction or dependence upon pornography. The characteristics here are obsessive viewing, reading, thinking about pornography and sexual themes to the detriment of other areas of one's life. So we are realizing this person has no other areas of their life. They are really obsessed with the issues of pornography. It has stages. So when we look at the stages, unfortunately, the first step, most people who watch pornography, they get that excitement that is so much that it's almost that a very high percent, up to 68% of the people who watch pornography the first time, they tend to get addicted. They get hooked for life for it. So we notice once you're involved in these materials, you keep coming back for more and still for more. The worst thing about pornography is for the growing minds, for the young people who are growing, when they see this, it's like they want to see more and more and more. And they're not able to control themselves if they want. After watching all that much, then they go to what we call escalation. This is the second step. In this step, you find that this person, with time, they start looking for what we call more explicit, more deviant, more kinky kinds of sexual material to get their highs and sexual turn on. Looking at this second step, it's like this person is developing tolerance if it was a drug problem or an alcohol problem, meaning they need more to get the initial high they got when they watched the first time they watched pornography. So we found that over time, they will keep on looking for worse and worse so that they get the same initial effect that they had gotten initially, which they'll never get again. Because they just saw it that time, that's what they felt at that time, then it's done. So they'll keep on looking and looking and looking. So they go to the third phase where we talk of desensitization. Now, originally, there are some things they saw on pornography and they were so shocked. It was just taboo, it was illegal, it was repulsive, it was immoral. Everything about this was bad. But in time, because they have been watching it, it starts becoming commonplace. So what they thought was so bad, they start looking at it like, I think it's normal now. I think I can do this. I think I can also try what I'm seeing these people doing. So no matter how antisocial or deviant it is, they have a way of saying, no, I think I can do it. Everybody, after all, is doing it. Somebody is asking me about the first stage, and we are saying the first step. I'm calling it addiction because we are told 68% of the people who are exposed to porn the first time tend to get hooked. The other percent, there are people who now stop there and they don't escalate to the second stage or to the first stage or to the third stage where I was. So in the third stage here, we start noticing that this person now start believing everybody is doing it. How I would explain this is that assuming this person sees porn that is for gay people, men having sex with men, and this is somebody who moral inside them they knew I cannot, it can never happen. After they watch the first time, second time, the third time they start saying, why in a ways I think I can. So they start seeing like it's normal. But initially it was so bad for them. So the more they are seeing, the more they start compromising what they believed to be their beliefs and personal standards. They fail them and they tend to start going into those weird, crazy things that they are doing. Now, the fourth stage comes in. This is where they start acting out. So, because they have been seeing so much, and they start believing it. And believe you, since they started watching it, there's a lot of masturbation for them to ejaculate. Initially, they could ejaculate without necessarily masturbating, just seeing the pictures, but now they have to masturbate. So, in this fourth stage, they start now having those crazy things. So, because they need to act out what they are seeing, the behaviors that they have been seeing, they want to act them. So, they can become seriously promiscuous. They start exhibiting themselves to others. They even start having group sex. For those of you who are working with young people, I'm talking of teens, most of them are having group sex and motivating each other and even taking pictures of them, and then they show the people this is what we've been doing. Others are starting to visit what we call the massage parlors, which really are not massage, they're places where you go and have sex. Others will start having sex with children, and they will start raping. In the pornography world, rape is considered the best thing. If you took any video of any man raping a woman and you put it on the porn hub, they'll pay you for that, because they are starting to say that rape is normal and women should be raped. So the others start even inflicting pain on themselves or on the partner that they're having sex with during sex as a form of feeling a higher high. So they start finding themselves they are not able to change. And even though they want to change, to reverse, they are not able to do that. If anything, this thing just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And now this acting out will bring in a lot of problems. So some of the problems that are going to come because of that stage you have reached, which we are not sure how long it will take. For different people, takes a very short time. Others take a very long time to reach there. So depending on where you are at, there are some that go into what we are calling now the addiction of pornography. It comes here. So you will keep constantly looking for pornography. So long as you are on with a phone and you are alone somewhere, you will be looking for that pornography. When you're walking, you start doing something they call cruising. People who are addicted to porn, there's something they call cruising. Cruising is you are going around trying to look whether you'll see people's nakedness or you'll see people like the way nowadays, my dress, my choice, women dress. They're not even aware that there's somebody who's cruising and following them up. And they're doing this when they're either masturbating or if they're driving in their tinted cars. You don't know what they're doing, taking your pictures, and later on they're going to masturbate on them. You're not aware of that. So these are what they keep on doing. So it provides a very strong sexual stimulant, or what we call aphrodisiac effect. For this sexual release, mostly it is through masturbation because they are mostly alone and there's nobody there with them. So they start having those exciting, powerful imagery that they are able to recall on their mind. And those fantasies, they keep coming. Even when they're not able to have the phone, they can call it in their mind. They can see somebody and then fantasize having sex with that. Some of the people I'm working with told me that they have reached a point when they see any female, it doesn't matter the age, the size, the everything. What they see when they see that because of watching too much pornography, they always start fantasizing. How would sex be with this person? Even if it's their own grandmother. It has reached a point some people even start imagining they're having sex with their own mothers. That's how bad this addiction is. And they will keep on fantasizing unless they do something about that. So we're also noticing that exposure to pornography, we rob one of the opportunity to develop a healthy manner, whether it's psychologically, morally, or spiritually. We also noted that one is harmed when they receive the sex education from viewing what we are calling hardcore porn. Hardcore porn is by escalation. Initially, you are watching what people call normal pornography, male, female, two males, one female, three, five, but it's really men and women. Then you start watching what they call gay, the gay or the extreme. So you keep continuing watching until you start watching what we call hard porn, hardcore pornography. This is where people believe they have to rape somebody, they have to inflict pain on them. Some of them are say that the only time they are able to ejaculate is when they kill. They kill the woman as they are ejaculating. That's the time they are able to actually ejaculate. So it becomes very perverse. It becomes very degrading to the women. So this person who is watching pornography believes every woman is a prostitute. They believe every woman deserves to be raped, and this is what is sold on the porn site. So the issue of violent sexual behavior is like normal within people who are addicted to pornography, and they feel nothing about it at all. So the issue of masturbation comes in. Unfortunately, most people who are affected by pornography are men than women. That's what research is telling us. And it could be so because men are visual beings. They see, they like. Unlike women who are more, they feel things in their heart. Men are visual. So they could be very happily married, but they see something and it excites them. So we are noticing that a lot of young men and teens, they prefer to masturbate either in front of their phone as they are holding it or computers at home when they are watching pornography. That's what they do. So we view masturbation as deviant behavior. That's the way the society looks at it. And of course, it leads to behavioral complications later on. So when we talk of sexual diversions, what am I talking about here? We are talking of incest. Now, pornography has brought a lot of incest, especially in this time where we are locked down at home. People are watching pornography. Probably they have escalated to a level where masturbation is not helping them. They need to do what they are seeing. And therefore, incest comes in, where you will find a mother seducing the son to have sex, or a brother and a sister. And I think we saw something on our wall where of this lady who was talking about her two daughters being impregnated by the son. So I was asking myself, definitely it must have been pushed by something. If you combine um, pornography and marijuana, that is something very crazy because when somebody is having marijuana in their system, it's a focusing drug. When they watch pornography, they want to practice exactly what they saw. So that's why you are finding a lot of incest. And because of it's a taboo, we keep quiet, we don't talk about it. We have already talked with child about keeping secrets. We are talking about let's solve this problem within us, the family. Let those people pay us this much. The person who was raped suffered. So we are also noticing people are having sex with animals. This is crazy. Initially, it would have been out of this world, but in those pornographic sites, they have actually sites where you see women having sex with dogs, with donkeys, with horses, name it, with anything, men having sex with ducks or whatever it is. It is crazy there. The group sex is something else that has really caught up, especially with the younger people, where they believe it's okay to share sex. But it's all being motivated by pornography. They want to imitate what they see. And the more sex partners you get in this group sex, the more people think that you are the top person, you are the best person. And we notice that the other diversions that come in is sex which humiliates and degrades women, even their sex role in that man-woman relationship. So what is happening? Women are being seriously degraded by people who watch pornography because in their mind, they are seeing you are what they see there. And as we look at pornography, as it continues to erode our decency, in married couples who believe that pornography makes the marriage, actually it breaks the marriage. Reason being, these people who are doing pornography, they are actually, there's something they call, they paint them. They make them almost perfect. And this is what the man is seeing. And he believes there are women out there who are that perfect. And some men tell me they go cruising looking for those perfect women so that they can have sex with them and they can experience that. So you can imagine what the wife is going through. She's being told she's not as beautiful as those women. Unfortunately, most of those women are sex slaves. They're always high on drugs, one substance or another, because they're being forced to do things probably they would not do, but they're doing it out of they want money or they want to probably they're having other issues. They have other funny personalities or they're even having mental health issues, but they're taken advantage of badly. So we realize these women actually suffer a lot. Then we also notice that somebody is asking here, can masturbation replace intercourse? Uh, can wife swiping be viewed as an addiction? We're going to look at all this. Because of time, let me finish this. So we are saying an indecent society resorts to social misdemeanors. So we are having too many problems as it is. Too many. And when I say too many, when we were talking about GBV the other time, you realize that there is so much that people are not talking about that is happening. And when you really follow it, then you realize most of the people who are doing this are addicted to either porn or sex. And that's why they have to do. So if we are to look at what is doing, because it's so much, and I'm still looking on my time, we notice that it does harm the soul. It just harms your personal morality and chastity. It is harm to the public morality. It is harm to the marriage that most people say that they watch to make the marriage work. It is harm because of the violence towards women. It is harm because of degradation of women. It is harm to the children and adolescents, and we have seen how the families are going on. And then this harm keeps on resorting into rapes. And probably rape is something that we are not talking about, but it's very frequent and it's happening. And a lot of people would be motivated to rape or do those perverse sexual behaviors or pursuits because of being exposed to pornography. So the issue of contracting also other diseases, including HIV, because of going to those peep shows booths or going towards, now we are having the Usiku Sako has now started operating daytime because of the curfew. So most of the prostitutes or the commercial sex workers, as we say, are operating daytime now. So you will actually see them in those funny where they allow you, you can see, you pay this amount to see, you can touch, you pay this amount, but if you want sexual contact, then you pay this amount. So we are having some things we are calling peep show booths, where you can just go and peep and see what is going on, and you are charged for that. So there's a lot of harm on people who are performing, especially those who produce these pornography films and videos. These people are seriously harmed. Most of them end up committing suicide. Majority never come to be anything in life. And of course, the harm to innocent persons. They are criminally assaulted and murdered by those who are stimulated by porn, including serial murderers. This guy was called Teddy Bundy. He was the renowned, very a serial killer. He said he was motivated to doing that because of watching pornography. That is what it does. It influences people to become serial murderers. So if we look at now where we are right now because of the COVID-19, I don't think we can talk anything without mentioning the COVID-19. What is happening now? There's a lot of anxiety and powerlessness. And of course, the spread of pornography use is going higher. So when we are going through our anxiety and other stresses, we tend to turn to behaviors that provide a kind of relief and the difficulty we face. So most of the people are looking for solutions, only end up having more problems than the original distress they had once they start watching pornography. So what has shocked us is when we are in this point in time where there's the issue of social isolation, loneliness, and stress, there's also a lot of increase in pornography use. Some people are thinking that this is making a lot of sense. The worst thing that I heard of as far as pornography was concerned, that when in March, people were dying in Italy, the most popular porn sites in the world decided to offer Italy free premium for porn subscription throughout the March of month. So they did not have to pay for pornography at that point. So when they opened their website, this is what they saw to keep you company at home during these weeks. You'll be able to access porn hub premium for free for a whole month with no need for a credit card. Believe it or not, yes, it was to help keep you company during a health pandemic. So as the country is invited to escape that anxiety pandemic, it was being turned into a porn pandemic. And it's real. Why would anybody do that? They are recruiting more people so that they can, the next time you look for the higher high, you have to pay more for that. So what shocked us was, why would a company promote using human beings for sexual gain? Why would they do that? Because they felt that they were offering two experiences. The first experience they were offering is the relief and power. That's what they were telling them. They were told that porn will offer relief and power. The relief and power porn offers, however, is very temporary. This is the reason why it will damage sex and mental health. Normal sex life that you're supposed to enjoy and be happy with is seriously damaged. Your mental health is seriously damaged. Secondly, it is violation against women. So it's not helping you in any way. But that's what they were told then. And as I conclude this, we're talking of when you are watching porn and all that stuff, what you lack is real human interaction. So we need to have, good human interactions where love needs to be a big part of our lives. When it is not, we need to settle for less. And the less is pornography, which is counterfeit good as far as love goes. Loneliness and anxiety are to be expected when we are not having real human connection. And sometimes we feel we are out of control. And that's what COVID did the first week when we were so controlled. We really felt like we were very lonely. So they took advantage of that. So what can we say? How do we treat porn or sex addiction? We need to first accept that we have a problem. Mostly when you admit that you have a problem, it can compel you to seek for help. Then you need counseling, especially to the porn addicts. If they are married, the spouse needs to be involved. They should be treated together by a sexual addiction specialist. And if one is a student, then they should seek help from maybe guidance and counseling. I'm not so sure whether they'll be able to talk to their parents about it in this Kenyan context where sex is a taboo. It's a taboo. I've seen somebody in another forum asking, why would somebody talk about pornography? And you could feel how they were feeling. And I would also want to comment that we tell our children small things. We tell them, don't touch the fire, it will burn you. Don't put something in your eye. Your eye will be seriously affected. Don't put anything in your nose. We tell them that. Why don't we tell them you should protect your vagina or your anus for this matter? These are your private parts. The same way we tell them everything about the rest of their body so that they may start understanding early and they're not taken advantage of. So I know for the Kenyan setup, telling your parents you're addicted to porn, hey, I don't know, but from where I sit, I don't know. I don't think they tell their parents. Being the therapist, I'm the first one who learned that they have that with time. So as I conclude, we are saying pornography has the potential to change or influence sexual attitudes and behavior, whether male or female, even though we know males are more addicted and are more consume more pornography than women. And we are saying most sexual pornographic addictions begin in middle childhood or adolescence. And at this time, parents are unaware. They have no clue what their children are doing. And at this point, these children have insufficient understanding of the risks involved in them watching pornography. So I'd want to stop there. And I also want to let you know that I can't hear you from where I am. My systems all went down. So I think I need to maybe look at the questions that are on the chat. maybe those are the ones that might help me right now. Mm-hmm. I want to look at this. So the first one was, is masturbation without watching porn a cause of alarm? Would it lead to addiction? From Christine Monene, yes. Masturbation without watching porn, in itself, masturbation can become an addiction very easily and very fast. So it can lead to an addiction even though there is no pornography. Okay. Can masturbation replace intercourse? No, because masturbation is sex with yourself. Intercourse is sex with somebody else you're having an intimate relationship with. So there is no way masturbation can ever replace intercourse. Very interesting question from Grace Minor. Can wife swapping be viewed as an addiction? It is, and we're having clubs where people go and swipe wives. There are people who are swiping wives. It's clubs, you go, you agree with your partners. Today I have your wife, you have my wife today. So I want you to remember all this. Women are being violated. So why would they swipe the wives? And why would they think that swiping the wives is normal? So it's what we are saying, it's degrading women and it's coming out well. Do women get addicted to porn? Yes, they do get addicted to porn. And what signs are you looking for here? Signs of being very secretive, always wanting to be alone with a phone or an iPad or a computer all the time, not wanting the real thing, the real sex that is supposed to be there because they're having sex with the fake people and all those other things out there. So women do get also addicted to pornography because I'm working with some who are addicted to them. And for women, how they got addicted, they were influenced to watching it by their then boyfriends who told them that it was a way of teaching them on how to please the men. So that's how it was. Somebody is asking about sex toys. What are your thoughts, especially where widowed women use them to stay away from adultery? It's a whole topic about why people use sex toys, and there are very many, and we have a lot of sex toys around here. And bringing in that aspect of somebody is widowed and they're using them so that they can stay away from adultery, I'll leave that to somebody who understands more about sex toys than I do. And somebody is asking here from Rose Karimi. I was asked by some teams about she-males. How would you explain this? The she-males are simply called the butch. The butch are women who have sex with women, but they are considered to be the female in that relationship of the lesbians. So the she-male is that person who is having sex with another girl or another female, but considered to be the man in the relationship. That is what they call she-males, or they call them butch. Okay, life pillars counseling is the reality on the ground. I believe is much worse than we know. Are there any recent research statistics that give real current recent statistics that can be used to build relevant intervention? None that I'm aware of in Kenya because of the issue of taboo. For me, in the therapy session, when I'm doing my screening, I opted to bring in the issue of other process addictions. Do you watch pornography? Do you masturbate? I just brought them in. And that's when I realized we had a problem because we were focusing so much on the drug use, and we realized these people are cross addicting from either drugs to nano masturbation to pornography to those divergent sexual behaviors. So I think we need to do that. What is your take on, this is from Christine Munene still, what is your take on the use of sex toys in relation to sex addiction? Actually, from the people who are already addicted to sex, they have a lot of sex toys, and they need to use them trying to look for the higher high, because now the normal male organ, the penis, is not being seen. It cannot hold 1 hour, yet the vibrator, well charged, it will do even 2 hours. Therefore, the more you use the sex toys, the more you move away from the human touch. And we are realizing it's not about the penis here. Sex is about a lot of other things. intimacy, love, care. There are many things involved. But when you're using the toys, then you realize you focus on only one place, and it's just can very easily you get addicted even to those sex toys. From Pauline Wanje, she's saying, well presented. Thank you, Susan. It's very informative. As a couple therapist, I concur with you that the problem is real. Some couples have gone to a point of incorporating sex toys in their sexual lives. Okay, can a middle-aged child get aroused by pornography? That is from Alice. Incidentally, it's sad to say, but yes, they do get aroused. They don't know what is happening to them, but you will notice that boy getting an erection. You'll notice that girl getting very excited. To the child, they might not know what is going on, but they will feel different, and they might want to see that again or see that again a lot. So when teenagers are in their rooms for long periods, check on what they are doing. Some of them are having online sex. Yes. Some of them are watching pornography, sexting, the online sex, and all that. What is the right time or age to bring the topic of sex to children? Should you talk to your children about sex and rape and sexual abuse? You should talk with them, Mwanzia, but you need to know at what age and what to say. Age appropriate. Learn from other therapists here, they can share with us which age should you talk about it, because when we don't talk about it, they'll hear it from somebody else who will mess them up, and they won't know what is truth and what is lies here. So as at a nice, just tell them at whatever age they have. Somebody is writing, I thought females have boobs and a penis. Mostly look like like women. The females I know, and I have a few that I'm seeing, are pure women. Only that they even have hips, they have breasts, they have a vagina, they have everything woman, but they prefer having sex with the other females. So unless you're talking about hermaphrodites, but the females I know are just butches, women who like having sex with other women. Somebody else is asking here, how can someone get the presentation? I think Wangoi will sort us out about that. Thank you, Ruth from Lewa. So Ruth Lewa, you are saying with online learning, kids are now able to access porn very easily, either from the porn, and that is what they are doing. And you know the people out there who sell porn, they know how to bring in those, they just pop up. And of course, a child will start concentrating on that. Are there age-guided notes to teach sexuality? I guess we can get that from, there must be. I don't have them as per here and now, but there must be. From Anastasia, she's saying, how can we create an awareness to the public who are ignorant, especially parents? What can we do about our vices in that environment? Good question, and any one of us can answer her there, because it's one thing that rarely people talk about. Even for us as therapists or psychologists, you realize that when you're doing your screening or your first contact with a client, if you don't bring it up, they could have come because of that problem. Then you find that because you didn't give them that a chance to ask them, they won't bring it out at any one time. So maybe we change our way of screening so that we bring in those topics so that you start learning who could be having a problem. And of course, educating parents will be nice. Somebody is saying this was skipped. For those with teenagers, please note that gaming and online games have now incorporated very sexual. Yes, thank you. Very sexual images, languages, and scenes. So what they do, they're very elusive, but definitely addictive to teens. Somebody wants me to elaborate the relationship between sex addiction and drug addiction, or porn addiction and drug addiction. Incidentally, when you're using drugs, the dopamine that is released for you to get that high, when you're watching porn, the same mechanism is used from your limbic side, whereby the more you are watching, they're releasing dopamine. And therefore, the brain wants to feel good all the time. They feel good dopamine. So the more they see, the more that dopamine is being released. And therefore, the researchers are telling us when they took pictures of people who are addicted to pornography and those who are addicted to drugs, they saw the same brain images of people who have the same problem. It was quite interesting. I wish I had more time so that we could go on with this. I would be interested to get the age guide notes. Sure, we can look for them and see how we can do them. And I want to thank everybody. I'm very humbled to have been here. And I will thank you for holding on with me, even though I can't hear you, but I can read from here. And I want to stop here now and hand it back to my very able Idizai. Thank you. Idizai, you can take it on, Idizai.
Thank you so much, Susan. Even if we have technical problems, but this topic was so interesting, and actually we learned a lot. You know, there are things which we see, but uh, we can't understand why these things are going on. Like last week, I remember I saw a video which was circulating for women who were saying they were raped and they were posing for pictures. At the same time, others were saying they are prostitutes. Others were saying they are just posing for the pictures. Can't you see the faces? So there are a lot of things which are going on. And you have managed to answer many questions which we're having even in our mind without putting in our chat box. We're able to understand the questions. For those who want notes, kindly send your M-Pesa for 100 Kenyan shillings to Helen on the number 0721676554, and kindly put your email after the M-Pesa so that you will receive these notes. And once again, thank you so much, Helen, for this informative time which we have together, and we are able to answer all our questions. Even us as parents, we have learned a lot, because there are things which we didn't know that, you know, even in games, there is our children are even learning about sex through games. Sometimes we just think they are just playing games, at which they are not games only. So as parents, it gives us some homework to work on. So over to you, Helen. Thank you so much. If there's anyone who wants to add anything, I think you are free, but for now, I can hand over to Helen, then we'll have our way forward. Thank you so much, Susan.